Alright guys, so I ran the numbers and it turns out we don't have enough for the animation budget, so we're gonna have to become prostitutes.
I'll take the one on the right. Why is it always me?
How it do, my stillborn cat litter? My name's Unded Meowth, and today we're back on the horse. That's right, we're talking about answers in Genesis again. You know, I've tried my hardest to keep politics out of my YouTube channel for the longest time, but unfortunately, you can't really talk about Christianity without talking about politics anymore. Conservatism is so deeply entwined with fundamental Christianity. And if you look at all of the Abrahamic religions, you will see that conservative values exist within all of them. This is because traditional values have always been steeped in religion, and conservatism has always been predicated on upholding traditional values. The reason I bring this up is because today's topic is going to be on the abortion debate. So before I begin responding to answers in Genesis, I will make my position very clear. I am pro-choice. And without further ado, let's just jump right into the news.
So here we have the headline, I'm a faithful defender of life. Guatemala's president prohibits Planned Parenthood from operating in the country. So news. The recent election of Alejandro Guillamate, I hope I'm saying that right.
Sounded good to me.
He has come in as president and come in on the platform that he will be a pro-life president. And reading Guatemala's constitution, that right is enshrined there in the Constitution.
A ban on abortions isn't a right, it is the opposite of a right. That would be like saying the prohibition of free speech is a right. It doesn't make sense. You could bring up the fact that giving rights to some people could infringe on the rights of others, but the right to have an abortion doesn't really infringe on anyone else's rights other than the fetus's right to live. But then, does a fetus have more of a right to live than a mother who will die if the pregnancy continues? This is why I hate the term pro-life, because pro-life doesn't really mean pro-life. It means anti-abortion, and the movement has no concern over the mother's life or the child's life past birth.
So it seems that under the previous administration, there were plans.
Right.
Here comes a pun. There were plans to let Planned Parenthood come into the country and begin operating.
That's not even a pun, you stupid fucks.
And when this new president found out about those plans, he was willing to stand on that ground and the truth that he understands from Scripture.
Oh, the truth that he understands from Scripture, huh? Well, let's see what the Scripture has to say about abortion. And the Lord spoke unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, If any man's wife goes aside and acts unfaithfully against him, and a man lie with her carnally, and it be hid from the eyes of her husband, then shall the man bring his wife unto the priest, and shall bring her offering for her 1/10 part of an ephah of barley meal. And the priest shall bring her near and set her before the Lord. And the priest shall take holy water in an earthen vessel, and of the dust that is on the floor of the tabernacle the priest shall take, and put it into water. And the priest shall cause her to swear, and shall say unto the woman, If no man have lain with thee, and if thou hast not gone aside to uncleanliness, being under thy husband, be thou free from this water of bitterness that causeth the curse. But if thou hast gone aside being under thy husband, and if thou be defiled, and some man have lain with thee besides thy husband, then the priest shall cause the woman to swear with the oath of cursing. And the priest shall say unto the woman, The Lord make thee a curse, and an oath among thy people, when the Lord doth make thy thigh to fall away, and thy belly to swell. And the priest shall write these curses in a scroll, and he shall blot them out into the water of bitterness. And he shall make the woman drink the water of bitterness that causeth the curse, and the water that causeth the curse shall enter her, and become bitter. And when he hath made her drink the water, then it shall come to pass, if she be defiled, and have acted unfaithfully against her husband, that the water that causeth the curse shall enter into her, and become bitter, and her belly shall swell, and her thigh shall fall away, and the woman shall be a curse among her people. And if the woman be not defiled, but clean, then she shall be cleared, and shall conceive seed. So to summarize, the priest will take the dust from a church and put it into a pot of holy water, force the woman to drink it, and if she miscarries, or as the Bible puts it, her thigh to fall away, then she is unfaithful. So the only thing the Bible really says about abortions is that there's a step-by-step guide on how to catch your wife cheating by making her have an abortion. This truth that the pro-lifers always say that's in the Bible that says that all life is sacred really isn't in there. Oh, and if you're wondering where that's from, that's Numbers 5.
And see these individuals made in the image of God and block that joining with Planned Parenthood in his country.
Yeah, he said, let's see, I'm a faithful defender of life, and I'm emphatic in stating that I will not endorse in government the creation, registration, or startup of any organization that goes against life.
I did a Google search and found no less than 3 sources that all say that Guatemala has a high, if not one of the highest, malnutrition rates in the entire world. But no, Answers in Genesis isn't going to talk about how the people of Guatemala are literally starving to death. Oh, yippee, look, the government's protecting unborn fetuses while its people are still dying. Most of those kids are going to either end up stunted or dead anyways. By banning abortions, you aren't saving children, you are condemning them to a life of misery and a painful death.
And he talked about life beginning at conception, which that's something that we've said as a long time as Christians, but something's happened in our culture with that word conception. And this is what we have to be alert to this, because the way that the meaning of words changes over time, and sometimes very quickly, like we saw recently in the Senate.
Oh, that's right.
With preference.
Yes.
So with this one, the word conception, 20 years ago, that meant the moment of fertilization. Now they've redefined it in Stedman's dictionary since 2000. I think it was in the 2001 version, where now it is anywhere up until implantation, which could take up until about 2 weeks.
Currently, as defined by Webster's dictionary, both definitions work. It should be noted, though, that I think saying that conception means when the egg is implanted on the uterol, that is more of an accurate definition, because up until that point, it's just 2 gametes are fused together and not really growing into a person. You wouldn't call a period an abortion, and you wouldn't call jacking off an abortion. So why is it when an egg and a sperm are together that suddenly magically makes them a whole human?
Right. And so now if you say, well, we believe life begins at conception, what they might be hearing is, oh, so abortion's okay in the first 14 days.
This doesn't even make sense, because the earliest you can get an abortion anyways is about 4 to 6 weeks. And even then, you probably wouldn't even know that you're pregnant within the first 14 days, because most pregnancy tests don't show results until after a 2-week time period. This is another reason why I think the definition of conception should be more focused on the implantation of the egg rather than the fact that the egg is fertilized.
And that's absolutely against the position we would take, that that moment of fertilization is when you have a unique whole human being who is created in the image of God and deserves human rights and protections.
At the moment of fertilization, all you have is a single cell that cannot feel pain, cannot think for itself, cannot maintain its own homeostasis, cannot survive outside of a very specific environment. There is nothing you can say that will convince me that a single cell is an entire whole human created in the image of God. The DNA inside that cell hasn't even begun to start making proteins. And for the majority of a fetus's gestation, things like vital organs don't actually work.
Just like anyone else. So to allow those things, so now pills that would prevent the implantation, like the morning after pills as they're called, those types of pills are not considered abortifacients, because if conception doesn't happen until implantation, then they didn't really kill a baby. but we know that that's actually what's happening.
For anyone out there who doesn't know what the morning after pill is, it's a pill that makes it impossible for the fertilized egg to attach to the uteral wall. Now, you can technically call this killing the egg, but really what it's doing is just making it so that the egg has to travel out of the body. And I must reiterate that this thing that is dying is literally just a single cell. We lose skin cells all the time. Are we gonna cry about skin cells flaking off? If you don't count skin cells or sperm as whole, unique humans created in the image of God, then you shouldn't count a fertilized egg.
And we know that from both a scientific perspective.
No, the fuck you don't.
But ultimately from the biblical perspective, and that's where we're going to stand
right
on those issues.
Because God, who's the author of life, he defines when it begins, when it is a human being made in his image. He defines that authoritatively.
You will notice in the Bible that they never talk about gametes or embryos or fetuses. This is because when the Bible was written, humans had no fucking concept of this shit. There's no passage in the Bible that says that the morning after pill is abortion. The rest of this segment is them just advertising a new part of their museum. I'm not gonna give them free advertisement, but they do say that one of the ways the other side is winning is by changing the meaning of words. And that's just not true, because the reason why language evolves is because there's so many different pressures on it. There's cultural exchange, there's new innovations, there's discovery, there's so many things that go into the reasons why words change. And the reason why more and more people are becoming pro-choice is because we as a society are progressing forward. And as Cyrus the Skeptic once put it, no human has the right over another human's body. Even if your own son needs a kidney transplant, you are not obligated to give your son one of your kidneys. The last thing I would like to mention is every time abortion has been banned, people who have unintentional miscarriages get thrown in jail. To be pro-life is to be anti-women. And yes, I know men can get abortions too, but come on. Is Answers in Genesis really that nuanced? Introducing the new Sim for Embryos. Poggers, tier 3 subs in chat. You haven't seen something this fresh since you've seen the Travis Scott burger. I honestly have no idea what the fuck I'm doing with my merch anymore. I'm running out of ideas, guys. Also, link in the description to my new Patreon. I finally caved in because I know I'm never gonna get monetized by YouTube. So yeah, feel free to check it out. I will be posting videos earlier on there when I figure out how to do that. I'm literally a boomer when it comes to shit like this. And with all that out of the way, my name's Unded Meowth, and that's all I got.